Welcome to the Psych Ignition. Power becomes truly dangerous when it doesn't need attention. That line isn't taken from a movie villain, it's the reality Sigma males operate in. They don't chase the spotlight, they don't demand a stage, and they don't flex dominance to prove anything. Their strength is quiet, focused, and hidden right in front of everyone. Here's something most people don't realize. A Princeton study found that silence, especially when it's unpredictable, makes others far more uneasy than direct confrontation. In simple terms, a man who observes more than he speaks, who doesn't react, doesn't compete, yet still ends up on top, triggers deep discomfort in those around him, even the loudest alphas. Now imagine this man isn't just quiet, but strategic, unshaken, and completely fearless. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 12 unsettling behaviors Sigma males possess, traits most alpha men would never dare to emulate. Not because Sigmas want control, but because they've mastered the rare skill of not needing control to be powerful. Warning: you might chuckle out of shock, rethink everything you know about Sigma male social hierarchy, and maybe even consider becoming a purposeful loner. Let's get started. Number 1. They observe for months before making a move, then strike surgically. Sigma males don't just make moves, they study first, silently, obsessively, and with a kind of eerie precision that throws people off. While alpha males often rush in to assert dominance and claim territory, Sigma males do the opposite. They watch for days, weeks, sometimes even months. They scan everything, the way people talk, react under pressure, lie without blinking, and flex their egos when they think no one's paying attention. But the Sigma is paying attention. Always. What makes this terrifying is how surgical their action is once they decide to move. They don't come in loud or aggressive. They strike in a way that's so calculated it feels unfair, like they knew every possible move before the game even began. People aren't used to this. Most expect either chaos or charm, not quiet precision. But Sigmas don't announce. They don't warn. They act like strategists playing five-dimensional chess while everyone else is playing checkers blindfolded. It gets worse because the Sigma isn't just analyzing situations, he's analyzing you. While you're talking, he's studying the patterns in your speech, the inconsistencies in your logic, and the emotions behind what you're pretending not to feel. He remembers your tells, your weaknesses, your fake confidence, and stores it without ever writing a word down. So when he finally speaks or acts, it cuts deep. Not because he's being cruel, but because he's being precise. He knows exactly where to aim and exactly when. People get spooked by this because it's not just intelligence, it's strategic patience. In a world where everyone's racing to be seen first, Sigmas scare the hell out of others by being the only ones willing to wait in the shadows until the timing is perfect. And by the time they move, the whole situation is in their hands, and everyone else is wondering how they didn't see it coming. This is the real reason Sigmas are feared. They don't just beat you. They outthink you in silence, wait until you're comfortable, then move in a way that makes your entire strategy feel childish. And they'll do it with no need for applause, no interest in bragging, and no warning whatsoever. That's not confidence. That's control. And it's terrifying. This process of observation isn't a passive hobby for the Sigma. It's an active, internalized form of reconnaissance. He isn't just collecting random data, he's building a complete psychological profile, mapping out the entire ecosystem of a person or situation. He understands that true power lies not in reacting, but in comprehending the underlying mechanics so thoroughly that his eventual intervention isn't an attack, but a simple, inevitable recalibration of reality itself. The Sigma male doesn't force outcomes. He arranges the conditions so that the outcome he desires becomes the only logical conclusion, leaving everyone else to believe it was their own idea or a simple twist of fate. Number 2. They refuse to compete and still win. Sigma males aren't interested in being the best in the room because they've already decided the room isn't worth competing in. While alpha males are busy locking horns, chasing validation, or trying to prove who's king of the hill, the Sigma quietly walks away from the hill entirely and builds his own. What makes this terrifying is that, without participating in the race, he still ends up ahead, not because he outpaced anyone, but because he chose a different track altogether and mastered it in silence. It drives people crazy, especially alphas, because the Sigma's refusal to compete feels like an insult to the very system they thrive on. Alphas need rivals, applause, confrontation. Sigmas don't. They don't care if you win. They don't care if you're louder, richer, or more followed. They're not avoiding the competition out of fear. They're avoiding it because they see it as a distraction. And nothing is scarier than a man who sees your entire game and simply declines to play. Even worse, the Sigma keeps winning anyway. He gets respect without asking for it. He attracts attention by ignoring it. He builds success in quiet places while everyone else is too busy showing off to notice. He's not trying to dominate you. He's just so focused on his own world that people can't help but notice. And that kind of effortless power, it rattles people to their core. There's no playbook for dealing with someone who doesn't compete, but somehow comes out ahead. You can't argue with them, challenge them, or even intimidate them because they're not playing your game. They're not even in your arena. They're somewhere else entirely, building silently, living freely, and succeeding without any need for dominance. And that's what makes Sigma males so unnerving. They don't need to beat you to win. They just need to be true to themselves. And in doing that, they shatter the entire structure that alpha personalities live by. No race, no rivals, just quiet mastery that renders competition irrelevant. And when someone wins without needing anyone to lose, it leaves people speechless and terrified. This isn't a tactic. It's a fundamental redefinition of what victory means. For the Sigma, winning isn't about being better than others. It's about being a more authentic version of himself. His metrics for success are internal, calibrated to his own purpose and peace, not to the fluctuating opinions of a crowd. While others exhaust themselves in a public race for a trophy he doesn't desire, the Sigma is amassing real, substantive power, skills, knowledge, resources, all on his own terms. His win is the unshakable sovereignty he has over his own life, a state of being that no external competition can grant or take away, and that is the most unnerving form of success to witness. Number 3. They can abandon anything instantly, even what they love. Sigma males have a brutal superpower. They can walk away from anything, even something they deeply love, if it starts costing them who they are. Most people talk about letting go, but when it's time to actually do it, they cling to the job that gives them status, to the relationship that makes them feel wanted, to the dream that no longer fits who they've become. Alpha males, in particular, are wired to hold on because power, pride, and position are fuel for their identity. But for Sigmas, if it's not aligned with their core self, they'll drop it mid-sentence and never look back. And the part that unnerves people the most, they don't spiral afterwards. There's no dramatic breakdown, no endless venting, just silence and forward motion. Their detachment isn't heartless, it's surgical. They've trained themselves to choose growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, peace over passion. Even if it hurts, even if it leaves them with nothing but their own two hands, they'd rather lose everything than lose themselves. That's not emotional numbness. That's spiritual strength. People who define success by what they have can't process this. To them, walking away looks like failure. To the Sigma, walking away is sometimes the greatest victory. Because he's not attached to outcomes, he's committed to authenticity. If a woman he loves starts playing mind games, he's gone. If a job pays well but chips away at his integrity, he resigns. If a lifelong goal no longer excites his soul, he scraps it and starts over. No explanation, no begging, no war, just clean exits that leave people stunned. That's what makes the Sigma so unnerving. He's unpredictable, not because he's reckless, but because he's too grounded to be trapped. You can't blackmail him with money. You can't keep him with praise. You can't control him with guilt. When he decides something no longer serves who he's becoming, it's already over. And to people addicted to control, validation, and security, that kind of freedom is terrifying, because deep down they know they couldn't walk away, even if they wanted to. But the Sigma can, and he will. This ability stems from a profound internal valuation system. The Sigma male has already done the hard work of defining himself in a vacuum, without the need for external attachments to tell him who he is. A relationship, a job, a possession. These are not parts of his identity. They are simply elements that may or may not align with it at a given time. His sense of self is a fortress, built on a foundation of self-knowledge so solid that the removal of any external fixture, no matter how beautiful, does not cause the structure to crumble. This is why he can walk away with such clean precision. He isn't losing a part of himself, he is simply shedding what is no longer congruent with the whole. Number 4. They make peace look dangerous. When a Sigma male is calm, it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like something's about to explode, but nothing explodes. That's the unnerving part. His stillness isn't empty, it's charged. Every quiet second is filled with memory, restraint, calculation, and a kind of suppressed power that doesn't need to prove itself. People sense it, even if they can't explain it. It's the kind of calm that makes you hesitate before speaking. The kind that makes even the loudest alpha suddenly question his own dominance. While alpha males often assert control through volume, energy, and presence, the Sigma flips the script. He doesn't need noise. He doesn't need to raise his voice or even speak at all. His silence says, "I've seen more than you think. I've felt more than I show. And I'm not here to play games." And it rattles people, because in a room full of people reacting, performing, defending, and posturing, he's just still, focused, unshakable. It's not indifference. It's something far more dangerous. It's awareness mixed with self-control, and that combination makes everyone uncomfortable. People don't know how to respond to a man who doesn't flinch. They're used to arguments escalating, emotions spilling over, someone snapping. But the Sigma doesn't snap. He absorbs. And when he finally does speak or act, it's sharp, deliberate, and impossible to recover from. That's why his calm feels like a threat. Not because he's trying to scare anyone, but because people instinctively fear what they can't read or predict. They don't know if he's going to walk away or dismantle everything with a single sentence. The terrifying part is that he's made peace with himself so thoroughly that external chaos can't pull him off center. That inner stillness makes people second-guess their own, because they realize if he can stay this composed, even in the middle of madness, maybe he's not the calm before the storm. Maybe he is the storm, just not the kind that announces itself. So when the Sigma male stands quietly while the world spirals, that silence is deafening and dangerous. This calm is a byproduct of complete emotional sovereignty. The Sigma has already faced the turbulence within himself and emerged as the master of his own inner world. He isn't suppressing emotions, he has transcended their control, processing them internally with such efficiency that no external leakage is required. This creates an energy of resolved potential. Like a predator that is so well fed, it feels no need to hunt, yet its latent capability is undeniable. People in its presence grow nervous, not because of what it is doing, but because of what they intuitively know it could do. The Sigma's peace is dangerous because it is the peace of a finished war, and everyone else is still battling their own triggers. Number 5. They don't argue, they exit. Alphas will fight to be right. Sigma males don't waste energy proving a point to people committed to misunderstanding them. If you come at them with ego, drama, or circular logic, they won't engage. They'll just leave. No warning, no fireworks, just silence. And that silence is louder than any argument could ever be. While alpha males thrive on confrontation, debating, dominating, demanding the last word, the Sigma sees all that as emotional noise. He doesn't argue because he doesn't need to win. He only needs his peace. And if keeping his peace means walking away from a conversation, a connection, or even a long-standing bond, he will. This shakes people. They're so used to power being loud that when it shows up in silence, it throws them off completely. They expect anger. The Sigma gives them absence. They expect insults. He gives them space. There's no shouting, no explanation, no desperate need to be understood. Just a quiet exit that makes the other person suddenly question the weight of his presence. And it stings because by the time they realize what he meant, he's long gone. What people don't realize is that arguing often inflates the ego. It becomes less about truth and more about winning. Sigma males aren't interested in ego battles. They don't need to convince you they're right. If you're emotionally immature, they'll sense it quickly. And instead of trying to fix you or engage you, they'll withdraw completely. Not because they're cold, but because they refuse to be dragged into pointless emotional loops. The quiet exit hits harder than any angry goodbye. It doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like a mirror. You're left staring at the empty space they once occupied, realizing they weren't trying to win you over. They were trying to see if you were even worth staying for. And if you weren't, they left without a sound. And that's what terrifies people. The Sigma male doesn't just leave the conversation. He leaves the dynamic, no drama, no begging, just a vanishing act that feels like a gut punch to anyone who thought they had control. Because the truth is, you never had control. The Sigma just let you think you did until he didn't. This exit is not a passive act, it is the ultimate active judgment. By refusing to engage, the Sigma is delivering a silent verdict on the interaction's value and the other person's emotional capacity. He places an immense, unseen burden on the other party, forcing them to confront the vacuum he leaves behind. There is no closure, no final word to react against, only the stark reality of their own behavior reflected back at them in his absence. This is a power move of the highest order, executed with zero effort. It demonstrates that the Sigma's time, energy, and peace are currencies too valuable to be spent on a losing investment, and his departure is the final transaction. Number 6. They're loyal without being possessive. Sigma males don't do possessiveness. They don't need to constantly remind you that you're theirs, and they sure as hell don't monitor your every move to feel secure. Their love isn't about ownership, it's about freedom. But don't mistake that freedom for indifference. Their loyalty runs deep. It's just buried in quiet action, not loud declarations. They won't post it, they won't parade it, but they'll go to war for you behind the scenes, and you might not even know it until the dust settles. While alpha males tend to guard their relationships like trophies, showing the world they can protect what's theirs, Sigma males don't feel the need to show anything. If they care about you, they'll let you roam free. But they're always watching from the edge, not in a controlling way, more like a silent sentinel. And if something or someone threatens you, they won't confront it with ego or attention. They'll neutralize the threat with eerie precision in total silence. No drama, no chest puffing, just swift, unseen action. This kind of loyalty is unsettling for people because it doesn't come with the usual emotional signals. There's no jealousy, no clinginess, no public flex. So people don't know where they stand with the Sigma until something serious happens. And when it does, the Sigma's protection is sudden, strategic, and a little scary. You don't see it coming, and that unpredictability makes people uneasy. Because while everyone's busy performing their relationships, the Sigma is out there moving in the dark, fixing things, cutting off threats, making sure you're safe without needing a thank you. And the strangest part? They expect nothing in return. No loyalty tests, no praise, no emotional payback. That kind of detached devotion makes people nervous, especially those used to love that comes with strings attached. With a Sigma, the loyalty is real, but the leash doesn't exist. They don't protect you to own you. They protect you because they chose you. And if one day you walk away, they'll let you. No begging, no chasing, just acceptance. That's what makes it terrifying. You don't know whether to be grateful or afraid because you've never met someone so loyal and yet so unafraid to lose you. This form of loyalty is a reflection of the Sigma's own core need for autonomy. He understands that genuine loyalty cannot be demanded or caged. It must be given freely, and it must be earned continuously. By offering you the same absolute freedom he demands for himself, he is creating the only environment where true, unsolicited loyalty can possibly exist. His actions are not a performance for your affection, but a natural expression of his own code. If you choose to stay and align with that code, his support is unwavering. If you choose to leave, he respects your autonomy as he does his own, understanding that a bond maintained by force is not loyalty at all, but imprisonment. Number 7. They will end a relationship the moment it becomes performative. Sigma males have zero tolerance for fake love. The moment a relationship stops being real and starts feeling like a performance, they're out. No long talks, no dragging things on, no pretending for the sake of image. They don't care how long it's been, who's watching, or what they might lose. If the connection stops being genuine, if it turns into a game of, look how perfect we are, or don't embarrass me in public, they'll leave without blinking. To them, staying in something empty just to keep up appearances is a form of self-betrayal. Unlike alpha males who might cling to a relationship because it feeds their pride, status, or reputation, Sigma males aren't interested in maintaining illusions. They don't care if the world thinks you're the power couple of the year. If they feel emotionally manipulated, disrespected, or like the bond is now more about optics than substance, they'll walk, and they won't look back. Not because they're cold, but because fake intimacy is more suffocating to them than being alone. They also don't play emotional games. If your version of love involves jealousy traps, guilt trips, silent punishments, or constant testing, they won't try to fix you. They'll exit quietly, efficiently, and when they do, it leaves people stunned because most are used to drama, drawn-out fights, or pleading. But the Sigma won't argue about why the vibe is off. He felt it. He respected himself enough to leave. And that's it. End of story. This kind of brutal honesty in relationships freaks people out, especially those who rely on emotional manipulation to keep someone close. You can't emotionally blackmail a Sigma. You can't bait him into a fight. And you definitely can't trap him in a toxic loop of fake love just to keep up appearances. He'd rather be alone in truth than together in lies. And that's what terrifies people, because deep down they know how many of their relationships survive on performance and image, and the Sigma simply won't play that role. His presence is real, but so is his absence. The moment it all starts feeling staged, he vanishes, and all that's left is a mirror, forcing people to see just how much of their love was only for show. This immediate exit is possible because the Sigma's commitment was never to the relationship as a social construct, but to the authentic connection that existed within it. The relationship itself is just a container. The moment the precious contents, truth, mutual respect, genuine feeling, are replaced with the empty packaging of performance, the container becomes worthless to him. He doesn't see it as ending something of value. He sees it as discarding the hollow shell after the core has already rotted away. This pragmatic, almost surgical approach to emotional bonds is what makes him so formidable and terrifying to those who use relationships as a stage for their own ego. Number 8. They outthink, outfeel, and outsurvive all quietly. Sigmas don't talk about what they're going through. They don't post cryptic quotes, call attention to their pain, or ask anyone to rescue them. When life punches them in the face, they take the hit, go underground, and start rebuilding in total silence. And what terrifies people the most? They come back stronger, smarter, and more refined without ever asking for sympathy. It's not just that they survive hardship, it's how they do it, with an unsettling level of grace and quiet focus. While alpha males often narrate their comeback stories, needing applause along the way, Sigmas disappear. You won't hear from them. You'll think they fell off. Then, out of nowhere, they reappear. New skill set, new mindset, new level. No explanations, no announcements, just results. And it stuns people, because they never saw the struggle, never witnessed the rebuild, and never imagined someone could come back from the dark without broadcasting every step. Sigmas process pain differently. They feel it fully. But they don't turn it into a spectacle. They reflect, internalize, and extract brutal lessons from their failures. And because they're deeply introspective, they don't just bounce back, they evolve. They don't want to return to who they were. They want to outgrow the version of themselves that allowed that downfall in the first place. That kind of self-discipline is rare, and it rattles people who only know how to grow with external validation. What's even scarier is how sharp their emotional radar becomes after pain. Sigmas don't just survive, they out-feel. They develop an uncanny ability to read energy, sense intentions, and detect insincerity. It's not paranoia, it's precision, shaped by every cut they've endured. And they don't wear those scars as trophies. They wear them as armor, silently. They're always watching, learning, adjusting. No panic, no pity parties, just quiet recalibration. And by the time people realize what's happening, it's already done. The Sigma has not only bounced back, he's outpaced everyone quietly. That's why they're feared, because you can't track their growth, anticipate their moves, or measure their strength through noise. They don't brag, they build. And when they rise from the ashes without asking anyone for a match, it makes everyone who needs an audience feel exposed. This silent metamorphosis is a testament to their profound inner resources. Where others need a support system to validate their pain and cheer their progress. The Sigma male is his own ecosystem. He contains both the wound and the medicine, the problem and the architect of the solution. His solitude is not a prison of loneliness, but a workshop for reforging his entire being. This process is so internalized that his re-emergence into the world feels less like a return and more like an upgrade has been installed. The person who comes back is not just healed, he is fundamentally different, operating on a new, unspoken understanding of reality that others cannot access, making his quiet resurgence not just impressive, but inherently intimidating. Number 9. They call out power, even if it costs them everything. Sigma males don't play nice with power. They dissect it. While most people, especially alphas, know when to stay quiet, nod politely, and protect their position, Sigmas do the exact opposite. They call out hypocrisy at the top, challenge systems built on fear, and speak the truth that makes everyone else shift in their seats. Not because they want attention, but because they refuse to be complicit. They'd rather lose status, friendships, and opportunities than bite their tongue for comfort. And that kind of truth-telling unnerves people, especially those who are used to controlling the narrative. Sigmas don't care who's in charge, if that person's corrupt, manipulative, or full of it. They'll call them out in front of a crowd, or in a one-on-one conversation with the same calm boldness. It's not emotional, it's surgical. And what makes it terrifying is they do it knowing exactly what it'll cost them. Maybe their job, maybe their place in a group, maybe their safety. But they do it anyway. Because their loyalty isn't to the structure, the leader, or the applause. Their loyalty is to the truth, even if it burns every bridge on the way out. Alphas are strategic. They know how to kiss the right rings and play the long game. Sigmas, they'll flip the whole table over if the game is rigged. Not out of rebellion for the sake of chaos, but because they've seen what happens when power goes unchecked. And they're not about to stay silent just to protect someone's ego. They'll walk into the lion's den with a matchstick and no backup if it means exposing the lie. And here's the kicker. They don't need a following. They don't rally troops or ask for a movement. They speak up alone. That kind of solo courage terrifies people, especially those whose power depends on obedience and silence. Because the Sigma doesn't just disrupt power, he exposes its foundations. And when someone's willing to torch the ladder instead of climb it, everyone starts wondering whether the whole system was just smoke and mirrors to begin with. That's why Sigmas get exiled. That's why they're feared, because they don't play the game. They rewrite the rules, even if it means playing alone in the aftermath. This fearless confrontation stems from a radical form of independence. The Sigma male's self-worth is entirely decoupled from any system, institution, or group. His identity is not held hostage by his position within a hierarchy, which means he has no vested interest in preserving its corrupt structures. He is the ultimate free agent, operating on a personal code of ethics that supersedes all social contracts. This makes him an unpredictable and unstoppable force for truth, as there is no leverage point, no threat to his status or security that can be used to silence him. He is, in essence, a system check, a living audit of integrity that powerful people cannot bribe, intimidate, or seduce into compliance. Number 10. They intimidate without saying a word. There's something deeply unsettling about a man who can dominate a room without saying a single word. That's the Sigma male. He walks in, says nothing, and yet the energy shifts. People start adjusting their posture. Conversations slow down. Eyes glance over more than once, trying to figure him out. But you can't figure him out, because he's not there to impress, perform, or be understood. His silence isn't shy or awkward. It's intentional. It's laced with observation, restraint, and unspoken judgment. And people feel it. What makes this so intimidating is that he's not trying to be intimidating. He's just deeply self-contained. You can't read him. You can't provoke him. You can't even tell if he's amused or disgusted by you. And that lack of emotional display drives ego-driven personalities insane, especially alphas, who are used to feeding off reactions. The Sigma gives them nothing. No smile, no nod, no approval. Just that calm, unreadable stare that says, "I see everything, and I'm not impressed." When a Sigma male watches, it doesn't feel like someone being polite. It feels like someone silently assessing your soul, and that's why people get uncomfortable. Not because he's being rude, but because he sees through the noise, through the performance, through the fakeness. And he doesn't blink. He doesn't flinch. He just keeps observing, like he's already seen 100 versions of you before and knows exactly how your story ends. Even loud, dominant alphas start shrinking a little around Sigmas because they're not used to someone who doesn't try to challenge them, but still makes them feel challenged. It's not the presence of threat. It's the absence of validation, and that hits deeper than any verbal jab ever could. You can't win against a Sigma in the usual ways. You can't out-talk him, out-flex him, or emotionally trigger him. His silence does all the work. His lack of interest is what rattles you, and by the time you realize how heavy his stillness feels, it's already taken over the room. That's the power of a Sigma. No volume, no theatrics, just pure, controlled presence that commands attention without needing to ask for it. This intimidating aura is a direct result of his complete emotional independence. He is not in the room to extract anything from anyone. Not validation, not agreement, not approval. This creates a psychological vacuum. People are subconsciously accustomed to the constant, low-level transaction of social energy. They give and receive cues to maintain a shared reality. The Sigma, by offering nothing and needing nothing, collapses this shared space. He becomes a black hole of social interaction, absorbing all the unspoken rules and reflected appraisals that people rely on, leaving them emotionally weightless and disoriented in his presence. His power isn't in what he projects, but in what he refuses to participate in. Number 11. They are immune to status, fame, or influence. Status means absolutely nothing to a Sigma male. You could be a billionaire, a celebrity, or a global icon, and if your presence reeks of ego, he'll tune out or walk out without blinking. Not out of disrespect, but because he sees through the illusion. Titles, fame, and influence don't move him. They don't impress him. He's immune to the social spells most people fall under. While alphas chase recognition like it's oxygen, the Sigma sees it as noise, a distraction from authenticity. And that shakes people, especially those who live for attention. In a world obsessed with clout, the Sigma is a walking contradiction. He could be in a room where everyone's bragging about what they drive, who they know, or what they've accomplished. And instead of being dazzled, he's disinterested. He's not there to climb the social ladder. He's there to see if anyone's actually real. And when he senses it's all posturing and flexing, he detaches quietly, instantly. You won't get a speech. You'll just feel the absence of someone who refused to play along. The kind of indifference is terrifying to people whose identity is tied to being admired. When a Sigma doesn't react, they feel exposed. It's like their entire performance landed on deaf ears. And that's the Sigma's quiet power. He doesn't fight you, but his lack of admiration feels like a rejection, a brutal, silent rejection that says, "You're not as powerful as you think. You just know how to make noise." And it's not just about ignoring external power. It's about the Sigma's obsession with internal sovereignty. He doesn't want to be above people. He wants to be free from them, free from needing their approval, their applause, their attention. That level of independence is rare and unsettling, especially to those who use influence to control others. When someone can't be seduced by status, flattered by fame, or manipulated by power, they become uncontrollable, unpredictable, dangerous to the system. That's the Sigma male. While others are hypnotized by prestige, he sees the man behind the mask. And if that man is insecure, shallow, or arrogant, the Sigma disengages completely. And nothing terrifies a room full of powerful people more than someone who sees straight through them and simply doesn't care. This immunity is his ultimate defense and his most offensive weapon. It completely neutralizes the traditional tools of social manipulation. You cannot incentivize him with promises of prestige, nor can you threaten him with social exile, because his sense of self exists outside of that arena. He operates on a different value system, one where internal integrity is the only true currency. This renders him a ghost in the machine of hierarchy. He moves through its structures, observing its workings, but is utterly untouchable by its rewards and punishments. To the powerful, this is the most profound insult and the most terrifying threat, a man for whom their kingdom simply does not exist. Number 12. They're kind, but in a way that feels dangerous. Sigma males don't do performative kindness. There's no sugarcoating, no fake smiles, no kindness as currency. When they're kind, it's unsettlingly genuine. They're kind because they choose to be, not because they need to impress, manipulate, or be liked. That kind of raw, unfiltered kindness throws people off because it's so rare. Most are used to kindness with strings attached. From Sigmas, it comes with nothing except the unsettling feeling that beneath that calm, gracious exterior is someone who could absolutely wreck you if you push the wrong button. This is what confuses people, because when a Sigma male helps you, listens to you, or defends you, it feels incredibly real. No ego, no agenda. But at the same time, you can sense the discipline behind it, the restraint. It's like watching a man feed a bird with one hand while holding a sword behind his back. He's not dangerous because he's aggressive. He's dangerous because he's capable and in full control of it. Most people mistake kindness for softness. With Sigmas, it's the opposite. Their kindness is a choice, not a default setting. That means they could easily do the opposite and choose not to care, not to help, not to spare you. And when you sense that quiet capability, that edge just under the surface, it makes their kindness feel heavy, intense, even intimidating. It's not manipulative, it's just powerful. Because a Sigma male's kindness comes from deep understanding, not weakness. He's likely been through hell, seen the worst in people, and chosen to be good anyway. That kind of goodness isn't naive. It's tested, hardened, and that's why it rattles people. Because they realize this isn't someone trying to be liked. This is someone who's already made peace with being misunderstood and still chooses mercy over malice. But make no mistake, if you mistake that kindness for weakness, you won't get a second warning. The same energy that forgave you could erase you just as effortlessly. And that paradox, being embraced by someone who's terrifyingly capable of destruction, leaves people unsure whether to get closer or keep their distance. Because deep down, they know they're not dealing with a harmless man. They're dealing with a disciplined one. This dangerous kindness is the ultimate expression of his power. It is a conscious distribution of grace from a position of absolute strength. He is not kind to gain an ally or to placate a threat. He is kind because his internal resources are so vast that he can afford to be generous with his energy, time, and compassion without depleting himself. This act, devoid of any need, becomes a pure and potent gift. However, this very abundance is what signals the danger. To be capable of such giving, he must possess a formidable reserve of strength, self-control, and discernment. His kindness is therefore a silent demonstration of the immense power he holds in check, making it both a gift and a warning, delivered in the same calm gesture. So, when you strip away the noise, the flexing, the hierarchy games, what's left standing in eerie silence is the Sigma male. Not because he pushed others down to rise, but because he never played the game to begin with. He doesn't intimidate with loudness, but with presence. He doesn't lead by commanding you to follow, but by making it impossible not to. He doesn't chase power, yet power somehow keeps orbiting him. And that's what unsettles people the most. His existence breaks the rules they've built their whole identity on. Sigma males are the quiet storm you never saw coming. The ones who vanish when things get shallow, only to return 10 levels higher. Calm and unreadable. They don't beg for respect. They carry themselves in a way that makes you question your own. They're kind without being weak, detached without being heartless, focused without being flashy. And when they do act, it's so surgical, so unpredictable, that everyone else is left scrambling to understand how they never saw it coming. This isn't about dominance, it's about depth. And the deeper you go into understanding the Sigma male, the more you realize he's not here to compete with alphas. He's here to render the whole competition irrelevant. If you felt every word hit different, if the silence of the Sigma spoke louder than all the noise you're used to, then don't just scroll past. Hit that subscribe button like someone who's done with shallow content and ready for the real stuff. Like this video if you respect power that doesn't scream for attention. Comment below. Tell us which Sigma move shocked you the most, or which one lives inside you. We want to hear from the ones who get it. And most importantly, share this with someone who's still stuck in the echo chamber. The one chasing clout, playing roles, or flexing for followers. It's time they met the energy that doesn't compete, but still wins. Because this channel, it's not for the loud, it's for the legendary. Thank you for watching.